Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and my video book that I am posting every week called Gloria, the Story of a Woman. And yes, it is my raw, unabridged, unedited story of my life. And today we're on chapter 11. And what I want to talk to you today about is, okay, this part of my life is truly pretty uneventful. Here you have a young woman that grew up in Georgia, pretty much a lot in the backwoods of Georgia, and then graduated from high school, had only babysat and been around little children like that, where I played with them, I might have fed them, I might have bathed them, but to know anything about married life, honey, I didn't know nothing. I wasn't told anything. I saw, my aunts, my family life, I saw it, but I didn't know. I wasn't sit down and told, this is what it's going to be like. And I really did not have very much help. And at the same time, I was living and married to an alcoholic where after work he'd stop, and he was still in service when we first got married, and I had Sharon, my oldest, my daughter, and he'd stop and have a few beers with the guys on Front Street and come in and sit down and watch TV, not understanding the need of emotional reassurance or of any kind of help. And so truthfully, I was lost. First of all, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have a baby. I wasn't ready. I was not ready. So that time for me was absolutely almost horrific. I was used to going out and doing things, and being active. And here I am stuck with a baby, washing diapers, washing fatigues, hanging them on a line, ironing them, cooking, which I had no desire to do and was not enjoying it and was not a happy person at all. But I endured it because that's what you did back then. You did not rock the boat. You did what was expected of you, and I had a baby to take care of. So I did what was expected of me. My mother wasn't very much help. She was in her own little world, in her own little home. Every once in a while, she might take care of Sharon for a couple of hours if Sonny and I wanted to go to a movie or something. But it was not a lot. It was not a hands-on grandmotherly deal where come in, show me what to do. Okay, we went through this period, and we were living in Warner Robins, Georgia. He was still in service. He got out of service, and he was from Miami, Florida. His family lived in Miami, Florida. His mom, his dad, his 3 sisters, and his brother. So the plans were, without much input from me, we're going to Miami. That's where we're going to live. So once he got out of service, Sharon was just a baby. She was in a bassinet, a little canvas bassinet in the back seat of the car when we left and got on the road with our meager belongings and headed out for Miami. I don't know how to describe to you my feelings. It was fear, scared, didn't know where I was going, had never really been very far out of Georgia, except to Pensacola, maybe on a vacation. And here I am with a guy that really, I don't even know if I really knew him very well. I didn't. I got married in December, January, February, March, 4 months. So no, I did not have any idea who he was. He was good to me. Don't misunderstand me. I wasn't afraid of him as far as fearful of him hurting me or doing anything. I just was afraid of the unknown. And here I had this baby. Okay, we get down to Miami. We finally made it. Oh my God, what a trip. It was long. I don't even remember it, to be honest with you. I think I cried half the way down there, or maybe all the way, I don't know. But I got there, And here we are staying in this little tiny room, 3-room house that his mom and dad lived in. Clutter everywhere. His dad was a hoarder. There was stuff everywhere. I mean, you could not hardly move in this house. And we brought the little bassinet in. His mother, who was an absolute angel, she was a wonderful woman and was so good to me and helped me get through a time that I might not have made it if it hadn't have been for her. She was a kind, loving, gentle soul that opened up her home to me, regardless of the situation or what it looked like. Gave me and Stony her bed room, and we put the baby in there, and there we stayed until we could get on our feet. And I met his family. Now you got to understand, Stony was the oldest. Stony was the shining star. Bucky, they called him. He was the shining star of the family. And he was one good-looking man. I will tell you that right now. He was fabulous looking man. So here, this little Georgia peach, this Georgia pumpkin, I want to call me, that looked just like something had rolled off the turnip truck, walked in on the arm of their brother, their Bucky. And if you do not think, the mother welcomed me with open arms, but if you do not think that I was not scrutinized by Rosalie, Barbara, and Janice, you are sadly mistaken. And it took a while before they finally decided. Rose, the oldest, was wonderful. She welcomed me. But Barbara and Janice, man, they were not. Bucky, so they called him, supposedly had this long-term girlfriend there in Miami. And they loved her, went to school with her, palled around, knew her, all through high school. They wanted him to marry her. Well, he didn't. And when he got back down there, he still didn't want to be married to her. Otherwise, he would have left me and married her, but he didn't. So it took a lot for me to stand up and, against the two sisters. And he also had a younger brother, 9 years old, James. James was just a little boy. And finally, he got a job in Sears. I got a job at a doctor's office. We got our own little apartment, a duplex, and settled into married life. And it was okay. I mean, I was learning. I was adjusting. Let's put it like that. I did have support there. I will say that. Stoney's mother and his oldest sister was a great support to me. His mother would keep Sharon and, help me. And if I needed something, I could call her, or she'd come over and help me. And she really did save my life. And I will always, always love and admire her for being so good to me and welcoming me into her family without ever looking down like, well, I don't know why he married you, which that's how I felt. For years, I felt when I looked at this guy, like this godlike guy, which was ridiculous. And I'd say, what does he see in me? What does he want with me? Like I'm less than? But that's what I had been raised to believe that I was. I had been raised to believe that I was not worthy. Otherwise, I would have stood there and said, man, you are lucky. I am smart. I'm a good worker. I'm beginning to be a good mother, and you are lucky to have me because I'm holding you up. And yet I felt the opposite. But you know what? It's funny because later on, as you know, I went through a drug and alcohol addiction, which, of course, I will go all through that in my chapters. Might be long chapters. I don't know. It might be 10 chapters. Who knows? But anyway, I learned after I got clean and sober, which was in 1982, I believe I was addicted to him. I honestly believe he was an addiction Because once I got clean and sober, I looked at him an entirely different light. It was not the same. He was not the same. Even his looks were not the same, and yet he was still a very good-looking man. Well built, kept in shape, worked hard, you know. It was not physical. It was me seeing him and his essence in a different light and saying, you know what, Gloria? I think you were addicted to him. And maybe I was. As I said, I don't know. I don't know these things. But this is what your childhood can do to you. It can take your mind and just warp it completely out of the way. Now, you can't make me believe that at that time of my life that I was really much different deep inside, or looks-wise. Well, I am different looks-wise because I'm a lot older, and actually I looked a lot better back then. But you can't tell me that I was all that bad, ugly, insecure, you know, had no self-worth. I had no self-worth. I had to develop self-worth, and it took me years and tragedies and heartache and self-abuse, because drugs and alcohol is nothing but self-abuse. You're trying to hide who you are and get away from your life and you by doing those things. Because if you think about it, if you truly sit and think about it, a person who's a drug addict or an alcoholic, when they're not on drugs, when they're clean and sober, they're some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. They're giving, they're loving, they're compassionate. The majority, I'm not saying everyone now, don't misunderstand me. So this was where I was, complete turmoil. Okay, now the family, oh my gosh, the family was like all other families. They were crazy. We were all crazy. But I'll never forget the first time I met Barbara and her husband, Dick. They came over to the house, and Stoney had been gone in service like 4 years. I don't know, he'd been home a couple of times. So they came in to see me and to see Stoney, and Stoney says to Dick, let's go have a beer. Let's go around the corner and have a beer. Well, they went around the corner and had a beer. Well, now a football game was on, and they're sitting there talking. I'm sure Stoney was telling him all about his service deal and all of that, and watching the football game. Well, they were gone a little extra long time. They were gone a while, but once again, I can understand it because they're sitting there. They hadn't seen each other. This is brother-in-laws sitting and talking and, you know, having a beer, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. But anyway, pretty soon they pull back up in the driveway. Well, Barbara was a spitfire, and she still is. And I love you to death, Barbara, but you know, you were crazy at times. Anyway, she goes flying out that door. And about that time, Stoney comes in the door, and Dick's behind him. Now, Dick is not a big man. Actually, he was a little bit shorter than Barbara. And the mother had like an oval-shaped little front stoop with one step up. And Dick takes a step up on that stoop. And Barbara backhands him across the face, and he goes flying. And I mean, she's cussing him up a blue streak because he'd been gone too long. She ruled his roost. But you know what? That man, she was married to him for years, and he absolutely licked her boots. He loved her like you would not believe. And as we go along, I'll tell you some stories about them as well. So this was kind of my introduction to the Stone family of Miami. And there were good times, there were bad. Once again, Stoney loved to drink. I was not drinking. I did not do anything at that time. I went to work and I came home. And he went to work at Sears. He came home, he brought the money home, he paid the bills, I will say that, but he was an absentee husband. And so this is the chapter for today, was the introduction, me going to Miami, me meeting my in-laws, and once again, I did love them. We had many wonderful times together. We had many crazy times together. But they did. They were the ones that kept me going and held me up all during those years. And once again, we only had, at that time, Sharon. So next week, we'll go back into some more about the Stone family and work my way up toward the birth of David, my second child. And I hope y'all enjoyed this and maybe got a laugh or two out of it. I don't know. But anyway, I love you guys. Come back next Thursday for another chapter and another video of Gloria, the story of a woman. Bye-bye.